Punk Revolution now. Today we're going to be reviewing Origami Angel's newest album, GAMI GANG. Origami Angel in 2019 released one of my favorite records of 2019, Somewhere City, which is a fucking brilliant record. The way it blends together, just this brilliant instrumentation that's so fast and heavy and exhilarating with these crazy drums that are pounding your ass, and the freaking guitar work that's like math rock crazy, nut stuff with the freaking beautiful and very catchy like emo pop melodies. Like, it's just ear candy from start to finish. Just a brilliant pop record, or punk record, pop punk record, whatever you want to say. Now I'm curious, they got GAMI GANG here. This is their sophomore record, their follow-up to their critically acclaimed debut. Let's see what they've got going on. This is interesting. While Somewhere City was around half an hour long, this new one is over 50 minutes long. It's a double album, pretty much twice as long as their debut. Okay, not quite, but you know, let's just do the rough math and say it is. That is cool. Let's see what they're doing. GAMI GANG, Origami Angel. Let's start by taking a look at the album cover. Not much to say about this album cover, really. It just says GAMI GANG on it, kind of bland, kind of a disappointment. I thought their Summer City album cover was really interesting, so this is pretty disappointing, honestly. I don't really like the title GAMI GANG either. Like, if you're gonna have an album cover that's literally just the title, make the title cooler than GAMI GANG. GAMI GANG is something I see Origami Angel tweeting and like hashtagging, like, haha, yes, our fan base calls itself the GAMI GANG. I don't really find the appeal of that joke, really. It seems like an inside joke between them and their friends or their very close fans, but everyone else who's not in on the inside joke is just like, okay, what's so funny about GAMI GANG? It's kind of a lame joke, not very funny, and also kind of a lame title, and makes a freaking lame album cover too. So that's kind of a disappointment, but who cares? It's just the cover. They are a freaking fantastic musician, so let's talk about the music. So like I said, this album is about twice as long as their debut, plenty of room for them to kind of experiment and try out new things, which they certainly do. We're gonna hear some more acoustic guitars in this record. We're gonna hear some moments where there's like, maybe like a little bit of like drum machines coming in there. They start with this kind of like funny little trap song. There's a moment with like bossa nova. So I mean, they are doing some experimentations, but to be entirely frank, the bottom line is like this record really is just a continuation of the formula that they experimented with in their debut album, where we're gonna hear some pretty dope mathy guitar riffs that are pretty heavy, maybe even a little bit of like metalcore influences on some of these breakdowns, but coming together with very melodic, very poppy, kind of like maybe even a little bit like juvenile and childish vocals. Like, sometimes the vocalist sounds like he's 10 years old, honestly, which is, you know, in their debut album, I thought was a really awesome contrast to have that childish and free energy, free-spirited energy combining with these heavy riffs. But in this album, well, there's a couple things. I feel like in terms of the songwriting, they are following the same formula, but they do kind of tone it down a bit. Some of these songs feel a little slower paced, a little quieter, you know, like I said, with the acoustic guitar or whatever. It does feel like in terms of the songwriting, they've kind of toned it down a bit, but also in terms of the production, it definitely feels like this album is just a little bit quieter. Like, while their debut album was like every fucking guitar riff was like a punch in your face, this one feels like it's just like more of a, you know, everything's kind of mixed a bit to be a little bit more, I don't know, like a conventional emo pop song. Like, maybe they were taking influence from, like, who knows, Jimmy Eat World's The Middle, you know, that classic emo pop song. They're leaning a bit more into their poppy elements, and I'm not a huge fan of that, honestly. Like, I loved their heavy, intricate, crazy guitar work and instrumentation, and that's certainly still in this album too. There's plenty of that, plenty of heavy moments, and maybe it really just does to come down to the mixing and the production, but it overall just feels a bit softer. And along with leaning into the more poppy elements with the production and the songwriting, I do feel like these lyrics just also kind of stepped up the cheese level, like gotten pretty cheesy. They was already pretty cheesy in their debut, but now like literally all these songs, like the melodies and lyrics sound like they could be lyrics straight out of like a Disney Channel original movie musical, High School Musical 5, who fucking knows? For example, the song Neutrogena Spectre, which was one of the singles, the lyrics there about, you know, being insecure about how your body looks, but we're gonna accept how we look and just be friends and have fun, you know, like, okay, good message and all, but like literally just delivered in like the most cheesiest Walt Disney way possible. But that song does finish with kind of like this heavy sort of metalcore breakdown at the end, but being entirely honest, both because of the production and also just because they are kind of sticking to a formula they kind of exhausted in their debut, and now they're exhausting in their sophomore album for twice as long. It does feel a little bit contrived. Like, yes, they're great at being able to blend emo pop with these heavier metalcore math rock guitar riffs, but here it's just like, you know, after hearing it do it so much, at the end of Neutrogena Spectre, it feels like, okay, there they go again, they did it again. It just feels a little bit kind of contrived. Even though I'm kind of coming out of the gate with a lot of criticism, I feel like that's really just because my expectations were really high because I loved their debut album. But if I kind of just like detach my expectations from their debut album, like, the truth is GAMI GANG is still like a really sick album. I don't really love listening to it from start to finish so much because I do get a little tired of it. It does start to feel a little bit formulaic, but if I listen to it in chunks, I do find that the songwriting is pretty consistent on this thing from start to finish, even though I'm not in love with the quieter and more acoustic parts. The bottom line is there's still plenty of fucking sick riffs on this. Like, Self-Destruct is, I think, one of their best songs. I love the way that guitar is just ramming on this fucking like dissonant chord over and over again, just kind of, you know, digging into it, while the vocalist is singing this beautiful melody that is just so emotional, and it just, I mean, it's just killer. They're just so fucking talented, like, they're just so instrumentally talented, and they're just great songwriters. That is still the case, and yes, I have a lot of complaints about it, but honestly, maybe if the production was just a little heavier though, and maybe if they just trimmed a few songs out of this record, honestly, it probably would still be just as good as their debut in my opinion. But I do feel like ultimately it's a step down, so I'm gonna give this like a 7. I'm gonna give this a 7.5. I think that's fair. Although I don't really see myself in the future listening to this album from start to finish again, I'm definitely gonna be revisiting a few songs off of it, and I think if you're a fan of Origami Angel, you should fucking definitely don't want to skip this one and maybe, like I said, listen to it in chunks. But if you've never listened to Origami Angel, I highly recommend their debut album. It's fucking sick. Definitely one of the best punk albums I've heard in the past few years. So that's all I have to say, folks. 7.5 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe because it helps more people find my channel, and thank you so much for my channel growing so fast because of all of your help. Punk Revolution. Now have a great day, GAMI Gang.